Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Friday morning to you all. Hope you guys are feeling well out there, having a great start to your day as we're wrapping up another work week, about to enter another weekend. We're all thankful for that. But I got you a pretty significant update on the tropics this morning, probably the biggest update so far, as breaking news is coming in this morning. Per the 5 a.m. update, the National Hurricane Center is now issuing a cone now for Tropical Depression 9. This is forecast to become Hermine. Remember, we were questioning whether this was going to be Hermine or Ian. It's now looking likely this is going to become Hermine. That doesn't really matter too much anyways, but it does give us a name we can actually label this storm with when it develops. So Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Cuba, and somewhere in the U.S., the Gulf states, maybe Florida. But we're going to talk about who stands the best chance to have a threatening scenario with this system, give you the latest and greatest information. This is real now. The experts from the National Hurricane Center are now saying, hey, there's a chance there's going to be a hurricane right off the coast of the southwest coast of Florida. As of right now, this could windshield wiper back and forth, but it's now forecast to have a hurricane off the coast of the southwest Florida around 2 a.m. Wednesday. But this is going to change a lot. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Guys, last night my video near 25,000 views. So that's the biggest video since February. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Any new viewers, thank y'all for choosing my video, and appreciate all the nice comments. So many comments last night, not one rude or just nasty comment. Every once in a while you see that when you have a more popular video. So thank y'all for supporting someone who has a passion, and I really appreciate y'all. Hit me up on Twitter, guys. It's a great way to follow along with hour-to-hour updates, or try to keep you guys updated as quick as possible. Link is below the video. If you guys got anything that I can pray about, pray over, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. So I'm going to put timestamps in this video under it. I meant to do it last night, totally forgot. I also wanted to mention the Cayman Islands and totally forgot. And you guys are reminding me, hey, the Cayman Islands do exist right here. So you guys are actually, unfortunately, have a big threat on your hands with what will be Hermine. So we're going to talk about you guys too. I'm sorry for leaving you guys out. I think someone in the comments said, hey, we got 18,000 people in the Cayman Islands. Don't forget about us. Haven't forgot. I technically did, but I know you guys are there. It's just, man, there's just so much information floods into my head while I'm talking. But Tropical Depression 9 has formed. We still got Fiona, 125 mile per hour storm. The worst conditions are hitting Bermuda right now. This is forecast to kind of come up and hook back into Nova Scotia. And this could be the worst storm maybe ever for you guys. I hope you guys are prepared and ready for this. Not going to get much detail with this video. I'll try to get a much more detailed version on Fiona tonight. But conditions will already be going downhill by the time I make my video tonight. But latest update. This is 5 a.m., guys. This is real now. This is a real threat. This isn't just looking at models and before the storm even forms. The storm is intensifying right now. Even though it's getting blasted by northeast shear, it is slowly strengthening. Forecast to become a tropical storm as early as maybe sometime this evening. It might be a tropical storm by the time some of you watch this. This isn't, it's looking pretty healthy. We're about to take a look at it here in a second. Remain a tropical storm, and right now, sometime during the day Sunday, this is probably going to pass just south and then southwest of Jamaica, and then the Cayman Islands right into here. It's forecast to be a hurricane. You guys could get hit hard. It could go right between the two main areas of the Cayman Islands right here, and then forecast to continue to intensify into 2 a.m. And then it's forecast to be a 110 mile per hour high-end Category 2 hurricane off the southwest coastline of Florida around 2 a.m. Wednesday. So, guys, this is a big deal. This is now a threat. We would consider this a threat. Tropical storm force winds are forecast to hit the western areas of Jamaica. There's a 40 to 50% chance of this around Sunday. But look at the Cayman Islands. A 50 to as high as 70% chance potentially for tropical storm force winds moving in late Sunday into Monday, and then the western areas of Cuba could get hit hard. But even within the next 5 days, you're already seeing, a 30 to 40% chance of tropical storm force winds moving into areas of the western coast of Florida. So, this is a now, not a now thing, but it is now an actual threat, guys. Let's quickly give you an update on Fiona. 125 mile per hour storm, still a major hurricane. Hurricane warnings up for Bermuda. Hurricane warnings now up for central Halifax has hurricane warnings. Cape Breton has hurricane warnings. The entire western areas of Newfoundland hurricane warnings. This is going to be a big deal. I'm talking, 90 to as high as 110 mile per hour winds and kilometers. Obviously, I think that's pushing, 200 kilometers per hour, give or take. You guys have been phenomenal up there in Canada. I've been trying to keep you guys updated, and I really appreciate people viewing from Canada. I really love that people outside of the U.S. view my channel. It means the world to me. It really does, guys. But Fiona starting to pick up speed. You would think that it's moving on out to sea with this motion, but it's not. It's going to hook back in, hit Nova Scotia. Bermuda right here getting scraped pretty good this morning with some intense winds. But look at this. Look at Tropical Depression 8. It is looking very healthy. Robust convection popping off with it this morning. Let's go on and get a closer look. And here it is, Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Cuba, southern tip of Florida, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. It's starting to kind of get into that area we call the Central Caribbean, which is this area right here. But it is still getting hit by the wake from Fiona. You can actually see it here. This is the actual center of low-level circulation right here. You see this little spin? So the actual center of the storm is right here. But the shear from the northeast is blasting all the convection to the west end of this storm because the convection doesn't want anything to do with that shear, a little bit of dry air that comes with the shear. So the idea is once this begins to get more into the Central Caribbean, the shear is going to lessen. Therefore, more convection is going to wrap around this low-level circulation. And I would say the quicker that it strengthens, the more north it's going to turn. Now, this is bad. That would be bad news for Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Cuba. But it could be potentially good news for like Florida and anybody in the U.S. as if it strengthens quicker, it's going to make that turn faster and fill the trough and head on out. But there's a lot of other things that go into this too. But listen, this could be a tropical storm sometime, maybe in the next couple of updates. Another great way to look at this, and I'm going to be showing this a lot more, is Zoom Earth. This is free. So here it is. Here is Fiona heading right towards Nova Scotia. Still 125 mile per hour storm. This is from 6:20, which was 27 minutes ago from the time I'm making this video. So forecast to become a tropical storm maybe by 2 p.m. Today. This will be Tropical Storm Hermine, and then it's moving through, it's moving on, and then forecast to be well south of Jamaica as a 45 mile per hour tropical storm around the middle of the night, Saturday into Sunday morning. And then it'll start to make that abrupt turn. This is when it begins to intensify. This is when it could bring some conditions. Jamaica, even though you're barely in the cone of uncertainty, guys, please pay attention in this area because if this system blows up faster, then you're going to be more in the path. Cayman Islands right in here. This is forecast to be a hurricane overnight Sunday into Monday morning. You guys are going to have hurricane force conditions potentially. Hurricane conditions in this area, more than likely, as we're getting into that time frame I just mentioned, into Monday. Sunday night into Monday. This could hit y'all pretty good. I'm not talking about a Category 3 or 4 hurricane, but this could affect y'all. We keep moving up here. Forecast to make landfall in the western areas of Cuba as a 105 mile per hour hurricane. That's a Category 2 hurricane. And then look up here. 110 mile per hour hurricane. Cape Coral, eyeing down you guys. Well south of Tampa, but this could shift more west, more east. I have a feeling, if anything, this is going to shift maybe a little bit more east, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure, guys. I can tell you the National Hurricane Center looks to be going in between the GFS and the Euro. GFS being the more west scenario, European being the more east. And I'm going to go over all the model guidance here coming up. But here it is. This is a real deal. Florida is now in the cone. Okay, so this is a real deal. Let's look at the latest GFS coming out now. Moving forward here in time, GFS has a tropical storm well south of Jamaica Saturday evening, tomorrow evening. I can tell you, the GFS still wants this to head more west. This would miss, if the GFS is correct, this would rapidly intensify, I'm brain fart, Hermine pretty quickly, but not until it reaches the Western Caribbean. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. This not necessarily just because this quickly intensifies, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to turn north quicker, but that is the idea with the steering flow aloft. But I'll tell you what, the GFS actually happens. Cayman Islands, this will miss you guys to the west. Now, the most western areas of the Cayman Islands, you guys would still get hit pretty hard. But this would be a major hurricane. hitting far western Cuba sometime late Monday night into Tuesday morning. This would sneak it into the eastern Gulf of Mexico as a major hurricane and then make landfall and get pulled by this trough that will be setting up here. Powerful trough comes back in. Not the same cold front that's moving in right now that's bringing beautiful fall-like conditions this morning across the eastern U.S. This is another reinforcing cold front that is going to provide a massive factor on where this is steered. Cold front moves in, steers this right into Tampa Bay, latest GFS, for Wednesday evening as a, probably a Category 3 hurricane. Goes right over the peninsula of Florida, weakens it big time, and then it just kind of drifts around, and after this, it doesn't really matter because it's hard to take it serious this far out. European, what does the European do? European is, in general, much further north. We're getting into tomorrow morning. The European, I would say the European is verifying a little weak, but has maybe a weak tropical storm, which is kind of what the National Hurricane Center is showing, south of Jamaica. Might bring some nasty conditions, especially for the western areas of Jamaica. Getting into Sunday, during the day, the entire day, this moves right in the middle. So I would say in the near term, the National Hurricane Center is really following the European, definitely not the GFS, because the European is following right down the middle of the track of the National Hurricane Center cone of uncertainty. Has a pretty strong tropical storm moving right between the Cayman Islands. And then it makes landfall as probably a Category 1 hurricane in central to western Cuba as we're getting into early Tuesday morning, and then emerges off the northern coastline of Cuba, the Florida Straits, as it starts to affect Key West at this point as probably a Category 1, maybe low in Category 2 hurricane Tuesday evening. So the latest European, the operational run, is actually east of guidance. Not east of guidance, but east of the cone of uncertainty. So there's a lot of factors here, guys. It really is. But this has a landfalling, maybe low-end Category 2, high-end Category 1 hurricane into the far north, southwestern areas and southern areas of Florida. Rides over the peninsula for a little bit, affects areas like Miami also, and then gets off the coast of the southeast, probably a strengthening hurricane at this point. And then the European wants to really scrape the Outer Banks sometime about a week from today. But going after that, it shows it affecting the Northeast, but it's hard to go any much further past 1 week out. It really is. Icon will show this just to show it because it's model guidance. I don't have the Canadian up, but the Icon, just like the Euro, really takes the same exact route in the short and the medium term. The Icon is a much stronger hurricane. This makes landfall kind of in the same areas, except it's coming in from a little bit of a different direction, but makes landfall in kind of the same area as the European around Tuesday evening. But it's a much stronger hurricane. It's a high-end Category 2, maybe a major hurricane, which is Category 3 or higher, and this is as far out as it goes, and it has severe conditions over areas like Miami, the Florida Keys, places like that. So Icon is not necessarily the most respected model, reliable model, but it is model guidance. European ensembles, what do they look like? Well, you remember this black line is kind of like the average route between all 50 of these other routes. So you got a couple, paths potentially that sneak into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Some of these completely miss the U.S. in general, but all of them affect Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Cuba. Just about every single one of them. But the main route takes this right over Miami, but not from the east. It's coming in from the south or southwest. So you see how this little line kind of, ticks a little bit to the west and almost wants to act like it's going to veer into the Carolinas? Some models are showing that, so it's something we need to watch. The latest GEFS ensembles, obviously still more west, and a little bit more of a severe scenario. Not a little bit, but definitely a more severe scenario if this was to happen. So we don't want the GFS to happen. But I think either way, somebody's getting hit by probably a hurricane. Most likely. It's a 95% chance, I would say, unless something drastic changes with the path in the short term. But from what we're seeing, or what Tropical Depression 8 looks like right now, I doubt it. So, and guys, I want to remind you, we might have Tropical Storm Hermine at the next 8 a.m. update. So by the time you guys watch this, this might not even be a depression anymore. It might be a storm. In fact, I would almost bet that by the time a lot of you watch this, this might be a Tropical Storm Hermine at this point. But That's the latest one, a little bit more west, and this would plow it, the main line, plow it right into Tampa Bay. So, and we'll talk more about this tonight. I dove really deep into it last night. What's driving strengthening with this? Well, once it gets out of the influence of this northeast and easterly shear, it's going to get into an environment, the upper wind pattern, right when it gets just south of Jamaica. That's really the staple of the location where this really begins to intensify. It's not bothered by shear anymore. It's got what we call an anticyclonic flow or an outflow, or the storm is basically breathing. It's basically ventilating. Like I said, you got winds in the opposite direction, 30, 40,000 feet above this storm, and the actual low-level circulation is moving in a cyclonic direction, but way above the storm and the opposite direction. This pushes air away from the actual center of the storm, allowing for more air to rise up into the storm, provides more convection. Therefore, you have a strengthening tropical system. So that is why this is likely going to, at minimum, gradually intensify once it gets into the Cayman Islands area this coming Monday morning, and just south of Cuba, potentially rapidly intensify, especially if it takes the GFS route. Nothing is stopping this from at least moderately intensifying. Some of the warmest waters in the world are just south of Cuba in the Florida Straits, in and around Key West, in and around the Bahamas. I'm talking about, 30 to 31 degrees Celsius. That's in the upper 80s. I mean, it's like bathtub water out here. Same in the Gulf, some of the warmest waters in the world. So nothing is stopping the sea surface temperature-wise. Nothing. It's not even a factor. It's not a limiting. All it is nothing but a promoting factor for this to strengthen. So, guys, this is a legit threat now. It's a legit threat. It's not just looking at models. I mean, obviously, we're still looking at models, but it's a real-time observation thing just due to the fact that, I mean, look at this thing. I mean, it's blowing up convection this morning. It's doing pretty well now, so we'll see what happens. Now, in the immediate country, the lower 48, very quiet day just due to this big trough rolling through. There's not even anything going on out west. So pretty quiet weather day. We're going to roll through this very quickly. The only thing we can really talk about, honestly, is just some showers in Iowa, the northern half of Missouri, Minnesota, and this will actually keep cloud cover and some rainy conditions into Illinois, and actually will keep your temperatures down. It might be downright chilly in this area of the country. It'll feel like just a straight fall day in this area of the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, Great Lakes region today, and you can see it. You see this little pocket right here of cooler weather just due to this rain, things like that. So far northern Missouri, Iowa, areas, especially in western Illinois, the entire state of Minnesota, Wisconsin, it's going to feel like fall. And I mean, look at this air mass in the northeast. I mean, downright chilly. You're going to need a jacket if you're anywhere, probably from Philadelphia, points north and northeast. It's going to be downright chilly for you folks. But a beautiful, the best day so far this fall across the southeast by far. It's still warm in Texas just due to the fact that this trough, this cold front, is digging down here and not so much down here. But the good news for you folks in Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, there's another cold front coming early next week, and you guys will get into some of this fall fun. So stay tuned, guys. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm telling you, it's a great way to follow along. It's an awesome way to follow along. It's not just me. There's a lot of great people on that app, on Facebook also, that put out a lot of excellent content. And there's a lot of great people that also put out content that, I mean, your average person that just doesn't know a whole lot about the weather, just an average knowledge on the weather, they make it where you can understand. And I hope I do that on these videos too. I know sometimes I can nerd out on you guys, but I try to make it easy to understand. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. I'll have you a big update this tonight. And please stay safe in Bermuda. And I hope you guys are getting ready in Nova Scotia. God bless.